Hey everyone, welcome back to the Coop with Meyer Hatchery, where we talk all things poultry in hopes of educating chicken keepers and inspiring future flock owners. I'm Tessa.
And I'm Jeff. And today we are talking about preserving your fresh eggs.
Now, before we get started, did you know that you can save $5 off your next Meyer Hatchery purchase by entering the coupon code TheCoop2022? So TheCoop 2022 at checkout. You know, this time of year, I always feel like I need to prepare for molting when my hens slow down laying for the season. It's like you get used to these mounds of eggs during the spring and summer, and then poof, they lose all their feathers and stop laying for a few months.
That is something I always prepare for. You have to see the signs so you can start preserving eggs in the late summer or early fall so you aren't scrambling during the winter months for a fresh egg.
What signs are you talking about?
Like molting, when you see the feathers drop, you are already too late. Molting happens every year to chickens when they lose their old feathers to grow new ones for winter. But it also means they stop laying eggs to focus on rebuilding those feathers.
Chicken self-care. That's hilarious. But it stinks if you're relying on those eggs to feed your family. We've got a few weeks before molting really starts. So let's talk about some ways you can preserve your chicken eggs to use during the winter months. Do you have a favorite?
I think everyone has to choose a method that works best for them. Some methods take a lot of time, and others use equipment that costs a lot of money. Freeze drying, for example, is a great way to preserve eggs. But, and this is a big but, you have to have a machine to do it. And in most cases, the cost of that machine outweighs the benefit of the preserved eggs.
I get that. I think that's a method that isn't going to cut it at my homestead. Maybe I should try and make friends with someone who owns a freeze dryer. Calling all potential friends. Must own freeze dryer. My homestead operation isn't big enough to justify that cost. I'd love to try it someday, but until then, I'll use more conventional methods. I recently did water glassing for the first time, but haven't used any of the eggs yet. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous to enjoy those eggs. Have you ever done it?
No, but I really want to try it because that's the most reliable way to store your eggs for fresh use. All these methods we're going to be talking about today change the consistency of the egg. Water glassing, however, doesn't change the yolk. So you can use them for over easy eggs in the morning, which is my favorite. And you never know it wasn't taken right from the nest that day.
Oh, that's right. I'm looking forward to trying that. I see some dippy eggs in my winter future. Water glassing was actually pretty easy to do. I only needed a large glass container for the eggs, some water, and some lime. I think the hardest part was making sure the eggs themselves were clean and didn't have any cracks.
And that is so important because one egg can ruin your entire batch. And if you're not sure, don't use it. It's really not worth the risk.
Noted. Use the candler and make sure I'm only using the best eggs. Honestly, the method I use most often for cooking them is freezing them. I've had good luck pre-making things like breakfast sandwiches and tortilla wraps, and then we just heat them up for the family on busy mornings.
Yeah, but what are you going to do when you need to bake a cake in January and you have all your eggs frozen and already cooked? You can just freeze your eggs before cooking them. Have you tried that?
I have, but that's where the consistency felt weird to me. It's fine for scrambled eggs, but it's not the same as just cooking them like I would eat them normally.
Well, if you want to use them for baking and cooking, you won't notice the texture when you're using it in a recipe. You crack the eggs in a silicone ice cream tray and freeze them. Once they're hardened, you pop them out of the tray and store them in a bag in the freezer. Now, they do turn out better if you scramble them before freezing. You can also freeze the whites separately from the yolks if you have some recipes that call for that.
I think I can handle that. I'm not a huge fan of the taste of yolk on its own, but I know you can salt cure yolks too. I've seen Jess do it before, and then she grates the yolks on her salads or as a topping, almost like a fancy cheese.
That's sort of interesting, but I don't know how to use it. Plus, it almost takes a week for the eggs to cure. I would rather just eat the eggs. They're such a perfect meal on their own and keto friendly, like I am trying to do. The other method I've seen done is dehydrating the eggs into a powder. I've tried that. It takes about 18 hours, and your whole house is going to smell like an egg. But it's a good way to preserve them. If you can, then store them in a cupboard instead of taking up space in a freezer or fridge.
But that would limit how you can use them too, since you'd have to use them scrambled.
Yep, most of the storage methods are like that. That's why, to me, water glassing is the most versatile.
Well, we could just take all the extra eggs and pickle them. Jars and jars of pickled eggs to get us through the winter.
And I'm making a face because I've tried pickled eggs and my personal taste isn't that favorite. It doesn't taste good.
It doesn't.
You might like it though. You might like it. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you ever need pickled eggs, you know where to find me. And with that, we thank you for listening to the Coop. Be sure to subscribe. And if you'd be so kind, drop us a review.
Do you have a poultry related question or topic you would like us to cover? We want to hear from you.
Send us an email to podcast@meyerhatchery.com.